What is up, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Our 6D Journey. My name is Lucas, and I'm here to help us build, create, and flourish inside of our relationships. So, there's been a lot of past karma issues coming up. Oh wow, chills just came in. I haven't made a video in a while. I've been house shopping, and let me tell you, if you've never been house shopping before, it is an intense process. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of patience, especially if you're going to be doing it with more than just yourself. I'm personally moving in. My grandmother started moving in with me, but now we're moving into a house with my fiance. And it's been a lot. So I've been incredibly busy trying to keep things going. I'm going to mute this to make sure it doesn't keep going off while we're doing this. It's so rude, guys. I can't believe I would just leave sound on like that. Like, how rude. And past karma and relationship traumas have really been coming to the surface for me personally, and especially inside of my family line. And you know, I'm a big believer that in every family, a healer is sent to that family, not only to heal their own karma, but to heal the karma of the people behind them and in front of them. And I would like to believe that I am that person, that I am the healer that stepped into the family. And in general, you know, my family, I come from an intuitive healing arts family that just kind of like, my mother is a psychic, and so is my grandmother. They don't use their powers the way I use my powers, but that it's there. And I was talking to a student's mom this morning who was projecting all this energy out about how her mother was super free with her, and she didn't protect her from the outside world, and she just kind of exposed her to a lot of things at a very young age, and she feels like that she has a lot of resentment towards her mother. And it was weird because as she was talking, she sounded just like my mom talking about her mom. And all of a sudden I was going, man, this is a common theme. And you know, I was sitting there processing it all about memory and trauma and stress that we carry because of our childhood experiences. And it just kind of became apparent to me that a lot of these experiences that we hold on to sometimes aren't necessarily as accurate or as real from our perspective as they actually went down. You know, and I was thinking about myself too, about, you know, when I was in middle school, I remember people asking me about my sexuality and going, hey, are you gay? And because I was defensive and not ready to open up to the fact that that's who I was, I projected people out, and I was like, oh no, I'm not gay, leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. And then there were some other stories that popped up with my mother and some of the traumas that she felt like her mother had given to her. And I recently went back in time traveled with the DeLorean. And I started revisiting some of these times that people were asking me these questions, and that people were having these situations and circumstances and conversations with me where I became super defensive, and I started creating this kind of field and this viewpoint of people based on my own perspective of life. And the trauma that I was meant to go through as an individual, as a soul, something I signed up for. I came down to earth in this body to sign up for these traumas so I could grow and evolve through into a better and more enlightened individual. And I was listening to all the story from my student's mom, and then reflecting on it and kind of comparing it and contrasting it in my head, not out loud, to my mom's trauma. And then I've heard stories about my grandma and her mom's trauma. And then not even a week ago, I heard a story about my great-grandma and her mom's trauma. And I was just kind of seeing this pattern of like fractal energy, of echoes of things that were happening around. And I found the answer. It's letting go. It's forgiving. It's moving beyond blame and guilt and shame into, this was meant to happen. This energy that showed up for me was meant to be here. And it was the same way with my mother and her mother and her mother. So we have 4 generations alive. And her mother. And all of a sudden I just saw this pattern of resentment. It really is resentment. And I think the message I have today is that people are doing the best with what they know and what it is that they have grown into with their emotional maturity. And the solution to really living a prosperous life of emotional abundance where you feel calm and collected and stable is knowing that they did their best. And that they before they did their best, and they before they were doing their best. And that's something that's hard for people, to really engage and accept that we all are doing our best. And so my advice today for relationships is that we have to keep in mind that I just really don't believe that anyone is deliberately and maliciously trying to create havoc. And if those things do happen by accident, then it's because that's where they are right now in their journey of trauma. Their trauma journey has brought them to here right now, and a lot of what we get from our parents especially is what they got from their parents. And them from them, and them from them, and them from them, way back. And sometimes it's something that's inside of us that comes out, and later when we go back and revisit it, we don't realize how traumatic or how disturbed we are making the people around us because of our own internal trauma. And I think the lesson that I'm giving out today for us is love people through their flaws. Love yourself through your own flaws that you're probably carrying that are related to generations back, and really stepping forward and letting it go. You know, if something happened to us 30 years ago and we're still holding a grudge on someone, chances are higher than highest than not that they've already forgotten. They've already let that go. Because that trauma is so far back, they're probably not thinking about it, but we are. And by holding in that energy of resentment and holding that grudge against them, we're actually projecting that energy onto ourselves. And we're keeping ourselves from raising our vibration, raising our frequency into a higher state of acceptance and bliss. How many times I said acceptance in this video? 5? I'm going to count. If it was 5, poof, I almost said 4, but I said 5, so we'll find out. I'll count while I'm reading the video. But the only person that has control over our energy field is us. The outside world can show up, and I heard something recently that goes, your intention, is it supersedes? Or point is, your environment will always put more impact on you than you trying to hold your light. So if the world's coming at you and you're in an environment that's toxic, and say these people in your life are still being toxic towards you, and they're still acting the same way of the grudge that you hold from way back when, then they are not meant to be in your life right now. They're meant to leave. However, if they're not in that same vibration anymore, and they've raised themselves up, which a lot of parents do, by the time you're in you're an adult in your 20s and 30s, your parents have moved past that time when they yelled at you when you were 6. They've moved past. And if you're still holding on to it, then you're projecting an energy onto them that's not accurate, and that's actually holding them and you down. And so my message for today, with all the past karma that's being released, because it really is, like, not only personally, but as a collective, we are releasing a lot of past karma. And we're aiming for a reset, right? I think that's what all of us want. We want to reset to where we feel like life has started anew, and where we've turned a new leaf. And the only way to do that is to forgive and to move on. And sometimes you can do that just by yourself. Especially if they're not remembering it anymore, it's probably going to be an internal self journey. But if it's still something they're actively remembering and they have, an apologetic heart for, then just let their pain and suffering be released too. Because when we hold the grudge against them, and we're holding that vibration of disdain, we're keeping it on them and us. and it's time to move on and to have better and more fulfilling lives. Well, you guys have a great day. I'll see you later.